we might be able to prevent some things from coming to pass, right? Even if it's not now, can we prevent them from having a future issue with infertility, with cancer? Like, there is an opportunity here for us to change the course of the future, right? So I feel like even if they're just little tiny steps, like doing a little swap out, little steps over time make big impacts.
Are meal times a serious struggle? Does your child eat a limited number of foods? Does your child eliminate entire food groups? Are you tired of waiting for them to just grow out of it? Welcome to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater, where you'll learn strategies to help your picky eater expand their palate. With Christine Marati-Yoder, a pediatric feeding specialist, speech pathologist, mom of a child with feeding issues, and author of Mealtime Mindset. Let's get started. Here's Christine.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here and for listening. And thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much. Um, if you have not already subscribed, make sure you click the link to subscribe now so you don't miss any amazing information that we have to share. On this week's episode, I am talking all about ways to swap out toxin type things from our home and environment, how we package foods, things like that, so that we can avoid, toxins as much as possible, right? So last week we talked about 7 easy ways to detox. But if we just keep putting them back into our system, then that's not going to be very helpful at all, right? So we have to stop them from coming in and detox them out to see some real results and success, right? So I'm going to try to give you some really easy go-to tips today. Things that are not going to overwhelm you, that are pretty easy swap outs, and give you some information about some of these products that I bet you didn't even realize. So hopefully you're going to be super informed and ready to go out and make a few quick, easy swap outs into your routine so that everyone's a little bit healthier, right? Okay. So our first, now everyone knows that plastics are not great, right? So of course, I'm going to tell you to swap out plastics for other things like stainless steel and glass, silicone. Those are much better alternatives to plastic. And I'll tell you why. Now, despite that fact, there is an awful lot of plastic stuff that is constantly on the market. It's always, even very popular products. Like I know the Munchkin products are very popular and they are all plastic. I know that it's like definitely easier. If you throw it, it won't break, it won't dent, whatever. Sometimes they're easier to wash, whatever the case may be. But it's really important to switch out these plastics because a lot of these plastics, now, even if they say it does not contain BPA, that seems to be like a phrase or a little acronym that people seem to know is not good these days. But I will tell you that what they've replaced BPA with also has not been tested and is basically just equivalently as bad. But now they can say does not contain BPA on their marketing packages, but that doesn't actually mean that it is safe at all. So don't be fooled when something says BPA free and assume that all of the bad stuff has been taken out because it's just not possible to take bad stuff out of plastics. It pretty is much impossible. Now, I will say that the harder the plastic is, they tend to be safer than the more pliable plastics. However, I don't believe, any single plastic on any market that is considered safe. Because even if it doesn't have BPA, it might have something called BPS, which is just equally as terrible. Now, plastics in general, because of the compounds that are in there, they often act as like an artificial hormone in your body. And the last thing we want to do is start adding artificial hormones into our little kids. So not to mention that it could cause things like cancer, infertility, reproductive issues, asthma, neurological conditions, Alzheimer's, and type 2 diabetes. And we know that these conditions every year creep up, creep up, creep up, that more and more people are being diagnosed with these issues. So the more we can do now to pave the way for our kids to have a healthier future, the better, right? So there are so many good alternatives now, though. Honestly, there are really great alternatives. I love the Think Baby cups. There's stainless steel. Also, Pura makes a great stainless steel kids cup. Um, those are some of my go-tos that we use in our house. Or honestly, I just have him use like a regular cup in our house. I really try to avoid the plastics whenever I can. Of course, there's gonna be times where you're out to eat or you're at a party or something, and they're gonna be exposed to it. And I personally try not to freak out about it and go about my life. But in our everyday, day to day routine, I minimize it as much as humanly possible. So, I'm not saying you're never going to expose them to it, but I mean, of course, the less the better, right? So, getting those plastics out of the house, they honestly haven't tested almost any of these chemicals that have been, you know, put onto the market. No one is testing them for safety. There are millions of chemicals and none of them are tested. There's just it's there's it's a crazy, I mean, once you start learning about this kind of stuff, it's just one thing after the next. It doesn't surprise me knowing what I know that they're not tested. And, are they going to do studies on hundreds of thousands of chemicals and take the time before things go to market? No, that's never how it's been in the past. But I will tell you that, the best thing you could do is just avoid them, really. Now, it's really hard to do that when you get things like takeout containers. You might notice that more and more places are using like cardboard containers or, paper or things that, don't have that plastic in it. But, or those aluminum trays, those are also not good. But, it's really hard to avoid that sometimes. So, we just do our best, right? This episode is not to stress you out. It's not to make you feel like you can't do anything about it and you might as well just give up. That's not what this is at all. I know eliminating toxins could be totally overwhelming because when I first started diving into this, I was so overwhelmed and I felt like, oh my God, I have to throw out everything I own. And that's just not practical. It's not practical. When you know better, you do better, but it doesn't mean that you have to literally upend your entire life to make this happen. So I would just take it one small thing at a time. The next time um, you need like some kind of a container for your kids like school lunch, instead of getting the plastic one, get a stainless steel one or something like that. Like just make it small changes at a time when things come up. That would be my best advice because you are going to feel overwhelmed if you try to do it all at once. And I mean, of course, yeah, you're welcome to do it all at once, but if that's not going to work for your family, please just take it one small step at a time. And I'd rather you be successful and be methodical about it than just like give up because it just seems like too much. Starting with something that I always start with whatever you're using the most of, replace that first. That's the easiest way to do it, right? Okay, so now what can you replace it with? So you can replace your plastic containers with glass ones. Now, a lot of people don't like glass because it breaks. Now, yeah, okay, of course that is true. I'm not going to lie to you, but they do make a lot of the companies that sell glass containers. A lot of them have like a silicone sleeve around them, so if you do drop it, it's somewhat protected. It's not 100% foolproof, of course, but I would say then opt for like stainless steel as an option over the glass. But In our house, we have a little bit of both, but all of our food storage containers, like for leftovers and stuff, is glass because my son is not touching that kind of stuff. Only the stuff that I know he is touching, that's when I'll do silicone or stainless steel, because if it breaks or if it drops, it's not going to break. So we don't really do plastic bags. If I use plastic bags, it's usually just for toys, like to gather toys up and organize toys. But for the most part, we use silicone bags. So those stasher bags are great for that. There's other brands as well, but they hold up really well. I put them in the dishwasher. I can wash them by hand either way. Um, and they have them in all different shapes and sizes. So I'm able to fit pretty much anything in there that I would need. Um, so that's what we use in our house, at least. Even when I'm at the store and there's a choice between a glass jar of peanut butter and a plastic jar, I'll always choose the one with the glass jar. If I can. Now, sometimes it's impossible. Like, I love the nutso butter because it's all different types of nut butters with hemp seeds and chia seeds, but they don't make that in a glass container. So, like I said, some things are going to be a little unavoidable, but we do our best. We just doing our best. I try to take not so much scraping the sides of it. I don't know if that helps so much. Um, but again, it's one of those things. We're just doing our best, right? So avoid when you can, and when you can't, we just it'll be okay. We just do our best. That's what the detoxing is for. We'll help get out what gets left behind, right? All right. So another easy way to help keep your stuff clean, stuff, your food choices and things like that clean, are to avoid uh, anything with natural flavors. Now, this one's gonna be a tricky one because a lot of foods have natural flavors in them. And you might think that if the product is organic, that the natural flavor is also like safe. But the reason that natural flavors are not great is because it's considered a proprietary blend by that company. So basically, that company owns the right to hide from you what is in that natural flavor. Now, for something to be considered a natural flavor, it could literally have like now I forget if it's 1/100th or 1/1000th of that element. So, like, let's just say it's like blueberry. It could have like 1/1000th or 1/100th. Again, I forget which one it is of that natural thing, blueberry, right? But the rest of it does not have to be from a blueberry. It can also be chemically derived flavors. And because it's considered like brand secret or proprietary blend, they don't have to disclose what is in there. So I don't like that. And all of the natural health people, they don't like it either. Because that's where I learned this stuff from, is researching and learning from other health practitioners who have been through this and have studied this, and it just isn't good. So the best thing you could do is to try to avoid foods that have natural flavors. And believe it or not, there are a good number of foods that do not have that in there. I will say it's probably not the ones that your picky eater loves, but I wanted to make you aware of it because, well, we can't do anything if we aren't aware of something. So just knowledge is power, right? So when you're in the food aisle and you're thinking about trying a new food with your toddler or child or whatever, and you look at the back and there's one that has natural flavors and there's one that doesn't, choose the one that doesn't. That's really all I'm saying. A brand I love that is Solely, Soley, I think, and they are literally just fruit. There's no natural fruit flavors. It is just the fruit. Like if it's like mango jerky, it is just mango. Or if it says mango and coconut, that's all that's in there. So I love that brand. There are good brands out there. Truvani is a great brand that has like the pea protein powder in all different flavors, but there is no garbage in there. There's no natural flavors. There's nothing bad in there. There's only good stuff, right? So there are ways to avoid that. But it's more like bringing it to your attention. Like, I want you to go through your cabinet and see how many things you have that actually have natural flavors. They're not actually necessarily that product that you think it is, right? It might say that there's raspberries in it, but it might just be natural raspberry flavoring. So, just something to think about, keep in the back burner as you're kind of learning about this process of avoiding toxins, right? And, it is not exclusive to just food. Um, a lot of kids' products, even products like, that you wash with, detergents and soaps and shampoos. Now, a lot of them have what they call fragrance or perfume that is very similar to the natural flavors because, again, they're a proprietary blend. They do not have to tell you what chemicals they use to create that fragrance that smells so good to you. So, the best thing you could do is avoid, like the plague, anything that has fragrance or perfume listed in its ingredients. There are many brands that now will use natural essential oils as the to make the lovely smells. Even candles and those Airwick, the room purifiers, quote unquote, that's actually usually toxic chemicals that is like going into the air. So by getting rid of those or replacing them with a natural alternative like a soy candle with essential oils, or honestly just like a room spray that is made up of like a lavender essential oil and maybe one or two other things, that's a great alternative. There are plenty of unscented soaps or soaps and shampoos that use essential oils as well. But there is no need. You don't to smell good. You don't have to necessarily use something that has perfume and or fragrance. Especially things like deodorant and deodorant like typical deodorant from what's it, the top brands like Secret, they usually have aluminum in them, which is a heavy metal. And that sticks with you. Heavy metals don't just come right out, in your urine. Even, there was a chemical, this is actually many years ago, what kind of sparked this journey for me was, he was my boyfriend at the time. Now he's my husband, but he was using that Old Spice deodorant and he actually got a chemical burn and he had been using, it was like a scent or whatever that he had been using for a long time. But this batch, whatever it was, or something in his biology changed, but he got like it burned his underarm. It was a chemical burn. And we had complained to the company and I think they like refunded us or something stupid like that. But again, they wouldn't tell us what the ingredients were that were in there because they have a trademark on it and it's a signature scent. So when you smell it, you're like, oh yeah, that's like an Old Spice smell, right? And it smelled great, right? He smelled wonderful, but it literally burned his skin. Like his skin started peeling. I'm not joking. It was a chemical burn. So, Yeah, so we were like from then on, I went through all of our cleaning products. I went on like a rampage. When I tell you a rampage, I got rid of like almost everything we owned, which he wasn't thrilled about, because we were living together at the time. And I was like, I just learned like everything I could. That's just my personality, right? There's a problem and I literally learn everything I can about it, how to fix it. And that's when I learned about how there's all of these really, truly toxic chemicals in most of the products that are on the shelves. And what's more, I learned that disturbingly enough, this is an American problem because a lot of times in Europe and some other countries as well, Europe's a big one. Europe actually is much stricter about what they allow in their food and what they allow in their, beauty products and things like that, right? So, one company, so for example, I think so. I follow Food Babe. She was one of the first people I found that really highlighted these differences for me. I think it was like something like Doritos. And you could see the ingredients in Doritos in an American product versus a European product. And there's like half the ingredients because they won't allow it in Europe because they're more strict about the toxins. Do you know why? It's because we lobby in America. We're allowed to lobby our political parties. And these companies have a lot of money and they lobby them and they say, like, I want you to allow these chemicals to pass and be in our products. And here we are. And there they are. They're in there and we use them unknowingly. And these products often disrupt our hormones. They cause cancers, they cause a lot of ADHD symptoms. These additives, these preservatives, these artificial colors. I'm not saying everything in Europe is 100% safe, but it is a world of difference in the safety of European products versus American products. Um, it's just, again, knowledge is power. It's just something you should know, basically. Now, if you're unsure if your product has something bad in it, right? There are two apps I'm going to suggest that you download. And one is called Think Dirty. And that you can actually like scan the product and it'll tell you how safe or dangerous that product is if it's in their database. Most of the common products you're going to see on the shelves are in there and it will give you them like a rating of like, or it'll tell you, it'll highlight which chemicals are dangerous, which ones are safe, things like that. The next app I'll tell you to download is actually, I don't know if it's an app. It might just be the website. EWG, Environmental Working Group. And they have like a whole database called Skin Deep. And this is actually how I found our current products that we use. I use a lot of the Attitude brand, which are very, very clean products. They are very highly rated on EWG, very few ingredients in their products. But you can go on there and again, it'll give a rating on if it's clean or if it's like a dirty, contaminated product. And what that if you're trying to find a product, that might be a good place to start searching. Or if you just want to go through the list of products you have in your house, it will tell you, how toxic they are from most to least. So those are great resources to start out with. Now, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to now give you one more tip. Now, if you have found this super helpful, please rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. I would so appreciate it, and it will help other people find the information and get the help that they need as well. I'm also in the process of developing a course for parents specifically on this topic. It's actually a course I've taught many, many times. Back in the day when I worked in a school, I gave an in-service, and my course was Detoxify Your Life. And I basically taught all about toxins and in food, in water, in clothing, and whatever, everything. And everyone really truly got a ton out of it, and I got really good reviews. And so I've been wanting to try to put that onto like a virtual platform. I've been wanting to do that for years, so soon I will. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you're interested. Um, I'll probably have a link on the website for an early access. If you sign up ahead of time, you'll get like a crazy discount code, like 50% off or something, when the course does launch. So if you're interested, definitely check out the website under courses. And, when I have that up, there'll be a link there for you to sign up for early access so you can get that discount code. Um, okay, what else? So my last and final tip for today is going to be fluoride. Avoid fluoride in your toothpaste, in your water. It is a neurotoxin, and I cannot for the life of me understand why doctors give it as a supplement. A lot of our kids come to us and they say, what supplements do you take? And they say, oh, a multivitamin with fluoride. And I've had this discussion with several dentists. Now, if you are not a natural dentist, you probably give fluoride treatments or support the use of fluoride, support things like Colgate and companies that put fluoride in their toothpaste. But there is no reason to have fluoride, a neurotoxin, added into anything that you put into your body or on your body. Just to give you, again, some clarification between America and Europe, Europe, especially Western Europe, and even places like Japan, 97% of them do not add that to their water. They don't consume that product. It's banned in a lot of areas, in fact. Versus America, 70% of public water has fluoride added to it. Now, there's a whole thing I learned about fluoride, about basically that there was it kind of got started by accident, and I'm not going to get into it now, but I highly suggest that you research fluoride on your own. But what I know that happens is fluoride, like any other neurotoxin, can accumulate in the body over time. And only about 50 to 60% of fluoride is excreted through your healthy adult kidneys. So we really don't want it building up in our system at all. Now, what's really disturbing to me is that there have been more than 60 studies that show that fluoride decreases IQ. Okay. It's also linked to ADHD, which we know is on the rise, right? But again, why are these things on the rise? It's related to what's in our environment, because not every kid had ADHD. Even 20, 30 years ago, there were not that many kids with ADHD. There's a lot of toxins in our products. There's toxins in our water. There's toxins in every inch of our environment. And the more you are aware of it, the easier it is to avoid. But if you have no idea where they're hiding, you're just going to keep going about your day and adding your toxin load. And our bodies can only take so much before diseases begin to manifest, because there's an imbalance in our bodies. And just knowing what to look for, what to avoid, easy swap outs, I think are going to totally change your life. I'm not saying that if your kid has ADHD, if you stop giving them fluoride and you switch to stainless steel, that their ADHD is going to go away. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we might be able to make it better. We might be able to prevent some things from coming to pass, right? Even if it's not now, can we prevent them from having a future issue with infertility, with cancer? Like, there is an opportunity here for us to change the course of the future, right? So I feel like even if they're just little tiny steps, like doing a little swap out, little steps over time make big impacts. So don't discount the little things that you can do to change. And I'll just leave you with this last piece of information about fluoride, because fluoride's one of those things that really just gets under my skin, if you can't tell. Um, but there has never been a single randomized controlled study that demonstrated the effectiveness or safety of that product. So the fact that it's added into water, like without anyone's consent, like your consent, you were just drinking it unknowingly, thinking you're drinking water, not realizing you're also taking in a neurotoxin. And it's like, well, why add it? Why add it to toothpaste? It doesn't cause, there's no such thing as tooth decay is caused by a lack of fluoride. That's not what causes tooth decay. Um, you don't need fluoride to prevent yourself from having tooth decay. In fact, I think it was a documentary that I had watched about fluoride specifically, but there were like all of these cows that were exposed. Now, granted, I'm sure it was a larger amount of fluoride, but nevertheless, they actually had bone decay because of it. The point is it necessary? No, it's not necessary. So why add an unnecessary neurotoxin into your environment when you don't have to? So that's basically what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm very passionate about that topic. I just don't understand. Well, no, I do understand why so many people still believe that it is helpful rather than harmful. Has to do with politics and money and who gives money to the universities that train the people. But it is a topic for another day. But I always love chatting about, and I'm very passionate about toxin prevention and exposure and detoxing. And I do really enjoy this. So I hope you have as well. I hope you've learned something. And I truly hope I didn't stress you out too much. And remember, there's no step that's too small to make. It's never too late to get started on these things. Just if you're listening and you're 70 years old and you're like, I've been exposed my whole life, whatever, like, it's never too late. It's never too late. So, there's always something you can learn and grow from. And just because that's the way it was done in the past, or those are the products you've used in the past, doesn't mean you have to continue to use them. You can find new products and new companies to be loyal to that you might like way better. Granted, they might be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to pay whether it's now or later. Unfortunately, I say if you're not going to pay a few dollars extra now, you'll probably be paying for pills, co-pays at doctor's visits, time off from work or school or whatever, because you're dealing with health issues. So my take is preventative first, avoid potential issues in the future, so that you have the best outcomes later on, right? That's just my view on it. You don't have to share that, but that's my view. Um, Now, hopefully this was helpful. If you found it helpful, wonderful. And if you want more help with this specifically, I do one-to-one coaching. You can find all of that information. I do a pantry detox as well. I have that on our website. It is www.foodologyfeeding.com, and it is under therapy and one-to-one with Christine. So if you want more specific help with you and your family, let me know and I'm happy to assist. Otherwise, I think you've got 4 great things to start with here, and that should keep you busy for a little bit. All right, so we will see you again next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater. To learn more about achieving your child's feeding goals, check out Christine's website at foodologyfeeding.com. And be sure to tune in next time to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater.